Alright boys, buckle up because we have a lot to talk about in a short amount of time. I sound like a math teacher. Okay guys, welcome. It's day one and we're already behind. Hey y'all, it's...
Yeah.
What's cracking, kings and queens? Welcome back to my channel. Today's video is about something that's very fun. I think it's fun. I like talking about this, and if you clicked on this video, you probably do too. So let's we're gonna be talking about sustainability and how that works in the fashion world, because I think that's something cool. And if you are into that kind of, well, even if you're not into that kind of thing, I think it's still something that we should all be educating ourselves on, because we all live on this planet, which means we gotta know a thing or two about it, right? And I mean, we all wear clothes, I hope. So you should be wanting to know some stuff about the clothes you wear and how it affects the earth we live on. So to that end, I'm going to be addressing some of the terminology that's used in the sustainability fashion world, because I think a lot of the times we hear these terms be thrown around and we're like, I have a vague idea of what this is, but I don't really know. I'm gonna be touching on some of those terms, some of those things that we should all educate ourselves on. I'm gonna try and withhold from sharing like my opinion on everything because we don't have time for that today, but I'll probably just share a couple of my preferences here and there. So let's get started. The first thing, what is the word organic? Because we've all heard this word before, I'm sure, and probably a lot of us don't actually know like the legit meaning of it. So let's see what it's all about. Organic relates to any produce made from an organic source that does not allow the use of pesticides, herbicides, or genetically modified seeds. So, that's pretty self-explanatory. No chemicals, no GMOs. When you're growing stuff, there's nothing extra that you put in it. I mean, besides, oxygen, water, sunlight, good soil, all that stuff. No extra growth steroids for plants. Do those wait, steroids for plants are the equivalent of like GMOs. Whoa. So a lot of you know that we living human beings leave behind a carbon footprint on this planet with everything we do. Do you know what a carbon footprint is? Because I did not know until recently, so I'm gonna read to you guys what a carbon footprint is. A carbon footprint is the quantity measure of greenhouse gases that a human emits directly or indirectly through their actions. This includes manufacturing processes, transport, purchases of items that when manufactured have produced greenhouse gases, and the intake of amenity sources. So, that was a lot to read. Essentially, what it's saying is that greenhouse gases are all of the traces that we leave behind with the things that we consume on this planet. When you buy something from the store, I don't know anything about cars, okay, I'm sorry. It takes gas and stuff from cars to take you to and from that store. It takes electricity to keep the store running, and it takes a lot of other stuff to keep the factories that make the things that you're buying, to keep those factories going. So, all of that stuff leaves behind a carbon footprint, which is something that is partially behind global warming, because over time we as humans have created so much that's now in the atmosphere that it's slowly deteriorating places in the world, different ecosystems and environments. But that's a video for another day, so let's keep going. So what does fashion and fabrics and stuff have to do with all this? Well, let me tell you. Fabric is something that we wear every day. The stuff we own, 70% of it is all fabric, and most of that 70% is clothing. While we sometimes don't think about the fabric of the clothing that we wear, it's very important that we do, because all of it came from somewhere. There were people making it, and there are businesses profiting off of fabric. So what makes a fabric good and what makes a fabric bad? Let's talk about what makes a fabric good, or in other words, environmentally friendly fabric. Environmentally friendly fabrics are produced from sustainably grown crops and also use processes that reduce the carbon footprint during its manufacture. So factories that use processes and machinery that reduce the amount of pollution they're putting into the air, the amount of water they're using, the amount of energy that the type of energy, because you need a certain amount of energy, but you can control what kind of energy that is. And the two, because one just has two different names. The two most common fabrics are Lyonell/Tencel, because it has two names, and OE certified cotton. And I'm gonna read about what that is now. Tencel is a natural fiber, also referred to as lyocell. Tencel is made from wood pulp from sustainable eucalyptus tree farms. The production decompresses all solvents and emissions. Tencel has been dubbed the fabric of the future thanks to its eco-friendly and economical production process. I think it was more recently discovered and developed, but it's making a quick rise in the sustainable fashion world. Like I said, this is like the top of the sustainable fabrics, because the wood pulp that it takes to make this, it can be grown quickly and without extra help like chemical boosts or anything. And more importantly, it's not any plant or tree that's in danger of going extinct, because not only does it grow quickly and with very little required conditions, it also takes up very little space, which means that it can be quickly regrown and in large spaces and areas. The fact that it can be grown organically makes it better for the planet, but the fact that it can be grown quickly makes it better for the fashion industry. Also, the way that the fabric is produced, because it's from an organic source, well, it's not because it's from an organic source, but it comes as a result. It takes very little energy and water to produce the fabric, and so, you know, you put all those factors together and it's just boom, wonderful. It's like a dream fabric for economically inclined clients. OE standards are the benchmark for quality assurance of organic cotton and certifies that the content of the cotton fabric has come from an organic cotton source, so organically grown cotton, which, you know, if we go back to what we already read about organically produced crops, it means that there's no pesticides used, there weren't any chemicals or additional steroids used for said cotton to be grown. This is very good tea. The tea is also organic, just so you guys know. So along with any product or system or whatever, there needs to be some sort of standard or some sort of way to measure how good it actually is. So for organic textiles, there's this thing called GOTS, or GOTS. I cannot talk, I'm sorry. Global Organic Textile Standards. And so basically, well, let me just read what it is first and then we'll talk about it. GOTS is the standard by which fabrics and textiles are approved of being made from organic fibers. Only textiles made of at least 70% organic fibers can be granted as GOTS certified. So like we can see with any kind of test, like the SATs or timetable thingies we did in first grade, any kind of test is going to have like a minimum, and so for these organic textiles, 70% of organic fibers is the minimum that they need to pass per se, which is great because then the consumer, knowingly or not, they're consuming something that is genuinely organic and it's something that really is coming from a helpful place to the environment and the planet. We're thankful for the institutions like these that keep our fabrics accountable for their actions. So like a couple of other processes in this world, the cycle of fashion or whatever, obviously it starts from the ground and it goes to the people who make the product and then to the consumer. But if we are considering the effects that these clothing pieces are having, we actually have to start with the consumer. What is a conscious consumer, I wonder? Let's find out. A conscious consumer is someone who is aware of the negative effects of purchasing items that are not produced sustainably or ethically. For this reason, they choose to purchase items that adhere to certain guidelines of sustainability to avoid contributing to mass production and wasteful or harmful manufacturing. So it seems like this is all the rage right now, which is a good thing. Is it for the right reasons, I wonder? I don't know, but anyways, this is referring to people who understand that things can be avoided or swapped out for things like glass. So people who understand the value of not contributing to fast fashion or to companies that use unethical labor, or just in general products that are harmful to the environment. People that understand that, those are conscious consumers. And you know, it's not just the people who are like, yo, I have a metal straw and I use a canvas bag, so I'm gonna save the planet. You know, those are good steps, good ideas, but it takes a lot more than that, honey. A whole lot more. And I gotta say, I think it starts in the heart. And it's an issue that once you address that and you see how much damage it's actually doing in the world, and you do your research and see the things that are happening because people aren't being conscious consumers, it'll lead you to become a conscious consumer. And you know, that's not for everybody, but it should be, because it's a responsibility that we have, because we live on the planet, which means we have to take care of it, which means that we need to take conscious and proactive steps to make sure that we are taking care of this earth that God gave us. Got a little mad there, but you know, taking a step back from the conscious consumer, we gotta talk about the people that produce the items. And that's another problem that's going on. Well, it has been going on, but it's pretty evident right now is that there is a lack of fair trade. And what is fair trade, you may ask? Well, let's read about it. The production of the fabric must involve fair pay for workers, be harvested and produced sustainably, and be given a fair trading price. This results in many fair trade products having a slightly higher price, but the extra cost goes back to support the workers and countries of its origin. So, like I've always said in several of my videos, sometimes, yeah, taking the more eco-friendly option can be a little more pricey sometimes, but it's worth it. It's definitely worth it. The reason why these brands sometimes are more expensive is because, one, they have to make up for the processes that it takes to make something ethically, because sometimes to ensure that you are being eco-friendly and that your products are coming out the best that they can, the process will be a bit more expensive, which is why sometimes they can be more pricey, or because they're using a more sustainable, the source of their material is more sustainable, which means that sometimes it can be harder to come by or harder to regrow once it's used, which means that yes, it will be more expensive, but is it worth it? Absolutely. And like I've said before also, if you're like me and you can't really afford all that really expensive but organic things sometimes, you know, that's fine. That's why stuff like thrifting and reusing and all that stuff exists. This shirt is thrifted. Like, guys, come on. I've talked about this before, but I'm gonna say it again. Thrifting is the #1 most sustainable option. So yeah, go thrifting, community. Alright, it is time to circle around and see how this applies to different terms in fashion, what these have in common, what they mean, and how we apply to them. So we're gonna start with sustainable fashion. What is sustainable fashion? The umbrella term that can be used to encompass most of these ideas. It may change and shift with time. On second thought, that wasn't the best term to have started with because we haven't talked about any of the ideas that it encompasses. But it's okay, it's fine, it's really fine. All sustainable means is that you're able to keep it going for a long time and keep it going well. That's literally what sustainable means. So is what we're gonna talk about now with these other terms. Similarly to sustainable fashion, we have the term eco-fashion. Eco-fashion refers to how the garment impacts the environment. So I guess if you're going to study eco-fashion, you're going to study about how do the clothes that we don't wear accumulate into something that are going to hurt or damage the environment? How are the processes that are used to make the fabric on the clothes that we wear, how do those affect the environment? All that good stuff. That is all part of eco-fashion because you're learning about how the stuff that you wear and the earth that you live on work together hand in hand. I'm sure you guys have all heard of the term fast fashion. I'm gonna give a brief explanation. Fast fashion is any brand that mass produces clothing of certain trends or current fads that actually ends up hurting the environment with poor resources and unethical production and manufacturing. So, you know, brands like Forever 21, they mass produce stuff that's on trend and then it doesn't get worn, it doesn't get sold. Where do those things end up? Landfills, because that fabric can't be reused because it wasn't good quality in the first place. So that's what fast fashion is. Opposite to fast fashion, you have to have what? Slow fashion. What is slow fashion? Let's read about it. Slow fashion addresses slowing down the fashion seasons and refers to increasing the longevity of our clothing. So that's going to be on the other end of the spectrum. That's going to be brands like Reformation that focus on using really good quality fabric for clothing that, first of all, probably won't go out of season for a long time, and secondly, you'll be able to wear them for forever basically because of how good the quality and production is. Once again, that's why they're a bit more a lot more pricey, a lot more expensive. We can't all afford that, but it is something to invest into, or brands similar to that. And lastly, we have the term that I think is most important and relevant. And you know, if you learn anything from this video at all, I hope that this is what sticks with you because it's what I feel is the most important thing you could have learned from watching this video. So that's the term ethical fashion. Ethical fashion addresses the ethical treatment, pay, and occupational health standards of garment workers and the effect that the making of the garment has on the community it is made in. Y'all, this is why we have small companies and local artisans that we are encouraged to buy. Well, actually, we're disencouraged to buy from because of big brands that want to take all this spotlight. But that we should be encouraged to buy from because these small brands and companies are the ones who take the people around them and say, you know what? I want you to be able to work in a good condition with good mental health and with good pay to produce something, you know, that's good quality. And that's, you know, why the term ethical, because it's all the good and ethical things about it. And so by buying from these small brands and companies, you are contributing to them in a way that will help them continue to treat their workers in a good way and provide them with the income that they need. So that is something that we should all be trying to do anyway, you know, support the small businesses around us and help them out because it's the right thing to do, because it's the ethical thing to do. See, it all ties in the end. All ties in. You know what? I should have called this video the video about ethical fashion, not sustainable fashion. Oh well, já foi. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you guys were able to learn a thing or two. I know that while I was preparing for this video, I actually had to do some extra research because there were some things I wasn't sure about. But I have now become much more educated in this subject, and I hope you guys have as well. You know, if you're ever having a conversation about this with someone, you can just surprise them with all these facts that maybe the other person didn't know. And so you're educating one more person. Or, you know, you could do that by sharing this video also. And that's all I wanted to share with you guys. So make sure that you like, that you subscribe, leave a comment down below about maybe something new that you learned. And yeah, I'll see you guys next time. Love you. Peace out. God bless. And yeah, I already said that. I'll see you next time. Bye.
Hey y'all, it's